everyone. My name is Angela Domasova and I'm the founder and trainer at Luxembourg School of Contemporary Etiquette. I am happy to welcome you today again at Lux Etiquette and Service Cafe, the only space of the kind in Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a unique country and people I meet here are really special and they are also unique. And those people who are real influencers, they could be living next door, but we're not aware of them. And I see it as my mission to present you in the most authentic way by inviting you for a conversation over a cup of coffee, great people of Luxembourg who create present and future of this country. Today you will get a lot of great insights from my guest, because she is a coaching psychologist, a trainer, a senior practitioner, and a dynamic facilitator. She is also a course designer. She is the president of Association of Positive Psychology of Luxembourg. She is the founder of Proactive platform, whose mission is to create a space for authentic connections. She helps individuals and companies develop sustainable strategies in the areas such as well-being, performance experiences, optimal experiences, business development, creativity, innovation, communication, resilience, transition, inclusion and change, a person of so many traits. And she is also got a full degree in psychology with a specialization in applied positive psychology. She loves people and she is curious about people, their journeys and their ideas. And she also admires nature, and it gives her inspiration and strength, and she is a sports person as well. Now I want you to make your cup of coffee or tea, sit comfortably and meet my today's guest at Lux Etiquette and Service Cafe, Dana Moldoveanu Brandes. Hello, Dana.
Hello, Angela.
Thank you for accepting my invitation and be my guest today at Lux Etiquette and Service Cafe.
Yeah, it's very nice to be here. I'm really excited and curious what we are going to discuss here.
You know, Dana, I follow you on Facebook, and in one of your recent posts, you dealt with the topic of routines and rituals.
Right.
And what are your routines and rituals which tune you for a happy day?
Right. First is waking up very early in the morning. I'm a morning person, so 6 is like the hour of waking up. And the routine is having breakfast with my husband. We whatever is happening to our lives, or how early or late we have to go in the office, this is the thing that sets us for the day, having breakfast together.
And what's the difference between routines and rituals?
Rituals is when we celebrate something, when there is a passing through something else, while routines is something we just do because we are used to do.
Family matters a lot in your life, is that right?
Yes and no, it depends. It's equally divided between work and other things. But my husband, yeah, it's very important. As we are here in Luxembourg, it's the only family I have over here. The rest of my family, my sister and my parents are still back in Romania. So yeah, for the daily things, he is the most important person in my life.
Dana, you are a coach and you're a coaching psychologist, you're a trainer, you're a senior practitioner, and you are professional in the fields like positive psychology, communications, emotional intelligence, stress prevention, leadership, entrepreneurship, innovation management, personal development, creativity. Again, the list is really long.
Long,
yeah.
But I'm not a specialist in everything, but I've been having projects in these sectors along my life. I started working when I was 19.
And your motto in life, as it is stated in your site, is to perform without damaging health or environment and improve personal creativity as a source of performance, life satisfaction, and optimal experience.
Yeah.
So creativity sounds to be like your latest interest. Are you a creative person?
No, I'm not a creative person, but I am very interested in creativity. It's not really like the latest, but I think it's something that was stable in my career. So somehow life brought me in, at least in my professional life, in areas where people needed creativity. So my first jobs were in sales and marketing. So I started to look at this process of creativity in that environment, and then I had a master in innovation management, which brought it closer, because innovation and creativity, they are coming up together. One is a more, let's say, psychological process, and the other one more economic process. And this is how, when I started coaching, and I've done my degree in psychology, my major project was in creativity.
Wow.
Yes, but in the specific context of coaching.
Your interest in positive psychology, how did you arrive to it? Did you meet some significant person in your life, or were there any specific events which brought you to this idea to go in this direction? Because psychology is really a broad area of studies.
Yeah, there were several events, I would say. So I was always interested, in applied fields and applied psychology. And I think one of the first events was in 2012 or 2013, when I bought a book, in fact, for my husband to read. It was called The Time Paradox of Zimbardo and Boyd. And he never read it, not even today. But I read it, and it was one of the first contact with positive psychology. So it was the perspective of time that is one of the subjects in positive psychology. And there were citations and research from the beginnings of positive psychology, because this movement in psychology started in 98, end of the 90s, beginning of 2000. And they were the first research in happiness and meaning, and how we deal with that. And in that book, that was the first contact I had. And then, things were piling up. Another coach from here, from Luxembourg, was telling me about this master in applied psychology. And I said, why not? Let's give it a try. And this is how I arrived in this field.
The definition of positive psychology given on your site of Martin Seligman is that positive psychology is the scientific study of what makes life most worth living, with the focus on strengths, building the good in life, improving lives of average people, and it aims to improve the quality of life. So on the one hand, we have scientific studies, and on the other hand, we have quality of life, like everyday routine. Can you share any prehistorical conditions of positive psychology? So how come that psychology as a field of studies became derived to an area studying positive psychology?
Very, very good question. Thank you for asking it. Is a story behind it, and Seligman writes it very well in one of his first books about positive psychology. In fact, so psychology started around 1890 and had three purposes, more or less. One was, of course, looking at the mental illnesses and finding treatments, but also a second goal was to look at extraordinary people, genius, mnemonics, looking, like people that they were a bit having talents or competencies out of ordinary. And the third one was to understand self and what makes us feel good, or what makes us humans more
having positive
special.
emotions.
Exactly. So understanding self at our best, if you want. So they were all three on the table, and probably more than that. Because of the two world wars, obviously psychology started to concentrate, and for a very long time did mainly what we call today clinical psychology or psychotherapy. So we were concentrating on what goes wrong with us. There were, during this period, psychologists or other researchers or people interested in field of creativity or, more positive sides, but they were, here and there scattered around. Let's say the first core was with the humanistic psychology. Maslow, Rogers, Fromm, and there were a few more that they said, listen, we have something good in us, and what are these things, and how we can grow them, and how we can transcend. But they were not doing enough research. So in time, their, let's say, creed and what they wanted kind of disappeared. There are very little number of even therapists in this field nowadays. Was taken over, of course. Psychoanalysis is everyone knows, and cognitive behavioral, now it's very fashionable thing. And what positive psychology did was just taking over this field, and they concentrated on research. They say, we want to show how things work in different fields. So in mental health, obviously, and in well-being, but also in education, in companies. It's not a specific part of psychology. We call it a movement. So it's more like, we want to look on this side as well. In this, let's say, short period of positive psychology, we are in the third wave. We call it the third wave. The first wave was the one on happiness and strengths. The second wave was on mingling negative and positive, saying, we have post-traumatic stress, but there is also post-traumatic growth. We can learn from our trauma or negative experiences, and we can become better, and how this fits together. And now in the third wave, we say complexity. So it's not only about individual happiness, but we go further, what's happening in communities at the national level, all around the globe. It's a more complex movement.
Do you agree that positive psychology has its roots back in thousands years ago, like Aristotle's teaching, or all those Greek philosophers' teaching, and even in religion, because spirituality and religious views could also be part of well-being and happiness, which is the topic of positive psychology.
Well, the basis of psychology comes from philosophy and many other fields, but the questions that we started to ask about ourselves were coming from philosophy. So the two domains are related very much.
Are you a spiritual person? Are you a religious person? What's your attitude to religion and other philosophic and religious worldviews?
That's a very tough question as well, in the sense that, I've been born and raised in Romania as a Christian Orthodox, so kind of religious, even though during communism it was forbidden, but still my family, was following the main things, and my grandmothers were telling me about God and, this kind of religious. But growing up, and especially when my sister studied theology, we kind of become...
She did study in theology? Ah, interesting.
Yeah, we are a funny family. we started discussing about that, and we said, well, you know, not really, we are not religious people. I don't want to depend on if I do this, then I will go to heaven. So we kind of become not atheistic, but growing apart.
Wide views.
Growing apart from going to church and celebrating this in that way. But in this moment, I do have a spiritual practice. So, and again, Seligman had a very good idea. It was really a nice thing when I read it in exactly at the end of his book, Authentic Happiness. It's saying, what if instead of believing that God created us like He is, we would create God with everything we do in the win-win area. And when we choose to behave or to think or to help, and we will create win-win situations, and we create God in this way. Oh. So it kind of talks to me, besides the fact that I really think that we are all connected, and you know, we have to live careful and aware of what our actions are doing to the people around, to nature specifically, and so on.
Interesting. Dana, you are the founder of Association of Positive Psychology of Luxembourg.
Yeah.
And could you share a little bit more about this association? Who are your members? How did you decide to start this association? And what are the main goals of PPL?
So officially, the association was registered in 2019, so it's a very young association. We started discussing in 2018. There are a few people in Luxembourg who have this Master in Applied Positive Psychology, and a few more they are about to finish. There are also people that they were just interested and they did some courses to use it in specific fields. As I said, the applications are numerous. And the members, we are quite inclusive. So there are people that they have competencies and knowledge in positive psychology, or they applied, but also people that they want to find more. So these are the affiliate members. What we want to do practically is just to disseminate information about the research and application of positive psychology and create competence. So we are a training institute, if you want. So we are doing workshops and trainings for people to understand more about positive psychology and not confuse it with other things, because when you hear positive, you can confuse it with many things. So we want to bring more
awareness of what positive psychology is.
Right.
So you offer services to clients, and what's a profile, like a general profile of your client could be?
We don't really have clients, so it's not, first because we are at the very beginning. So the idea is that we will create or apply for programs, for subsidies, or even going in companies at a certain moment, but for bigger projects. Most of the people, of the members, that they have knowledge in positive psychology from the association, they are self-employed, or they have their own companies through which they offer services. But they are, either alone or one or two persons. So the association could, at a certain moment, not right now, do bigger projects in Luxembourg with either state institutions like ministries, or with bigger companies. So something that we cannot particularly do alone. So to have a bigger impact, the idea is that positive psychology can make a bigger impact, but we also need more people to do that.
Do you collaborate with globally with some other associations of positive psychologists in the world?
We are part, there is the European Positive Psychology Network, is called. that is also producing the every 2 years a conference where professionals or people interested are meeting. So we are part of that, but it's not really organized. We also have connections with the Italian one, but for the moment we didn't. You know, it's a non-for-profit and we are volunteers there. For the moment we didn't manage to put together a project that will have budget. And yeah, the different members who are also members at the International Positive Psychology Association, that they do the international conference every 2 years. So practically 1 year you have the European one, and the other year you have the international one. But yeah, we are members somehow, but it's not really organized in a certain manner.
You're a coaching psychologist, and Martin Seligman identified some possible goals for positive psychology, being families and schools that allow children to grow, and workplaces that aim for satisfaction and high productivity and foster positive attitudes towards things, situations, and life events. Do you offer your services to corporate clients? And if yes, then what could be the ROI for a company if they work with you?
So I offer direct services through my company, so Proactive. What I do, so one field of application of positive psychology is also coaching. So I offer coaching and training, either for well-being or for communication, but I always keep this, you know, this layer of, you know, it is not worth it to be performant if in 5 years we are burnout. So how we can be performant and in the same time have a certain level of well-being or maintain our mental and physical health. So I do not calculate a return on investment, but there are studies that, you know, for many years they say that, you know, this motivating people with rewards or punishments will not make them more performant, will not keep them engaged. We know that many companies, they have problems retaining their personnel or engaging people, being creative. That is one of the main competencies we need to have as employees nowadays. So I am following this research, so I apply them in the work I do with the companies, either in individual coaching or in training. Sometimes it happens to have group.
Okay. And please tell us more about Proactive, this project. Is it your private business? Is it, and what are the main goals of Proactive?
Yeah, it's the let's say the brand or the name under which I perform in my professional activity, and it's very linked to who I am and how I evolve. So I always say that I offer to my clients a space, you know, for connecting with themselves. So to know where they are, how they are in this moment, where they want to go, and to the others, because we know relationship, and specifically the quality of relationship we have with others, is a very big part in the well-being.
Okay, let's turn to positive side of positive psychology and speak a little bit about happiness. Positive psychology sees happiness, engagement, well-being as a major part of the good in life. And some people say that happiness is made of hormones. like a dose of happiness is D for dopamine, O for oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin. And do you agree with that? Or is it just on the level of hormones or something else?
Well, I think it's a part. I mean, we are who we are. We are a part made of biology, so obviously hormones, neurotransmitters, neurons, cells, immune system, our gut, they are all working together. So we have our body, and somehow from the brain and our body, we have our mind. And when we move around, we have our behavior. So everything is connected. Now the direction, you know, like if I do something and then my body produces those hormones and makes me feel happy, or if I eat something and my body produces, but it's still a behavior, you see. So yes, we have this biological part, and we have things we can do with our mind and with our body to feel better.
Are you a happy person, Dana?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a happy person. I'm more like a grateful and aware person. I have this part of me that, you know, I look around and I see, yeah, this could be better.
Yes. There's always something to improve. So you're a perfectionist, no?
Not really, but I think not the perfection, but you know, things can be made better.
And if you think of your like happiest day, what would it be?
You know, there is an exercise in positive psychology.
I've read about it, yes. So could you share, please?
To think about your perfect day, if you want, but not the perfect day, you know, like exceptional when you are on holiday, but the perfect usual day, a day that you would like to live over and over. And of course, you cannot have the same day all the time because we will be bored. But there are some elements, you know, like working with a motivated client, giving a training on my favorite topics, you know, for half a day, having maybe an outdoors coaching session or a group, you know, going in the forest. Having the time to admire nature, to be in nature, and probably, you know, ending with having a nice discussion with my husband or with a few friends about how we can improve the world. You know, this would be like a day I could, you know, enjoy and be happy with.
And happiness is also seen as part of well-being, and well-being is one of the main concepts in positive psychology. And researchers and scholars, they approach this topic a lot, and they try to build models of what well-being could be. The definition of well-being was given by Seligman in his work Flourish in 2011, and he presented an acronym PERMA. Which is positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and purpose, and accomplishments. What is well-being for you, and how important it is for us, like normal human beings, and do you deal with well-being in your training programs?
Yeah, well, well-being is a complex theme, and yeah, obviously everyone is trying to make give a model, components, definitions. There are really a lot. I use a lot PERMA because it's the most well-known model of well-being. And I always, I mean, for example, you know, if I give a training, I will always try to have all the PERMA embedded in that training, even if the training is about something else. like for communication, for example, because that makes people feel better, and they're learning. So, because when we are in a good mental state, we have more chances to learn, and that learning will stay there. So I do the same in coaching, you know. So it's like everywhere I go, you know, at least some elements, they will always be there. I don't remember who said it, that people will always remember how you made them feel than what you said, or and so on. So it's good to have it there. I mean, the opposite of, for example, depression is rather vitality, you know. It's not really happiness, but the energy of going on and having goals and having projects and do the necessary to put them in practice. So we need this energy all the time. When we are rather depressed, we don't have that. We don't find a meaning. We don't see, you know, why we should just wake up.
And how important accomplishments is in well-being?
I think it depends from person to person. You know, there are persons that they are more competitive, other less. How we define accomplishments. But of course, we need to see that we can grow. You know, that we go from point A to point B, and it's very good to stop from time to time and reflect on that and celebrate, you know, this. They can be big accomplishments. I mean, many people, they just think of, you know, like when I graduated, when I got, I don't know, the job of my life, when I got my first million, whatever. But they can be also, you know, daily accomplishments, little things, you know, having a moment of connection with someone, sharing a common thought or understanding or activity.
Even having a cup of coffee.
Having a cup of coffee, sharing a story or an experience.